Before I start the show, let me ask y'all two questions. If there's so many gamers complaining and hating series like Call of Duty, Destiny, and Assassin's Creed, then why are they still giving them money? And then number two is there more likes and dislikes in those franchise? Let's begin. And welcome to the show. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. your retro activist. And with me, my new, new is tough to say. She's been around for gaming on my podcast for a while, so she's becoming more of a veteran guest. But in this show, we don't call people our guests. We call them our mini boss. And so we have Miss Cindy. And Miss Cindy here, she's been on the Gamer Stand podcast quite a few times, and we've been buddies for quite a while. Actually, through game, it's funny. Our friendship has been kind of more in and out. Like I think we officially hung out maybe 3 times. Like outside, like going out to eat or anything like that. But like on the show, it's been more than outside of that.
Right.
And so Miss Cindy does a Twitch stream. So if you want to see her, and Cindy, you can correct me if I'm saying this wrong, look up Asian Gamer Girl on Twitch. So it would be www.asianggamergirl/twitch.tv. I believe that's what you would put it. I would think. If you know how to look up Twitch and look for her. And then she also has this Facebook page too. You can go and check her out, so you can get updates of when she streams and whatnot. And that's AGG Gaming, AGG all capitalized, and then is gaming capitalized too?
Yeah, just the G.
Just the G. So yeah, that's AGG Gaming. So definitely check her out, follow her, support her. She is slowly getting back into the world of streaming. She's a bit of a workaholic.
A little
bit, but she's trying to make that money so she can have a huge library of gaming. And so one thing about Cindy is that she is a huge gaming collector. She collects a lot of consoles. I don't know if your library is huge. I don't know. I haven't really seen your library of all your games. I only see what I see, at your place at that point. But you can have your archives in the back room,
hidden out of sight.
Yeah. So like, you have a lot of consoles. Do you have a lot of games for those consoles, or do you just have a select of your favorites?
I usually do a select of favorites.
Okay. You're not one of those like I complete the whole site by getting every single game in there.
Oh gosh, I'd run out of space.
Okay.
My life would be taken over by games. Not that that's bad, but
okay. So just to select through.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you have consoles that they're pretty rarish. I mean, you can still get them, but they're still kind of rarish, like a Sega Saturn.
Yep.
And you probably have, I don't know if you have a Sega CD.
No, that I do not.
Okay. Does that interest you at all, or you just get the ones that interest you?
No, I actually been trying to find one, but I'm kind of selective on
Okay.
Condition, how it looks.
Okay.
Sometimes though it's hard to find good ones because they've all been used and abused for because
that's
it's
very
old,
true.
So.
That's very true. So like, other than Sega CD, is there one that you're searching for, like your next console, either a handheld or home console? Is there something you're looking for, you just haven't found it yet?
No, not really. I mean, I think that's pretty much the only one that I don't have in a way.
In a way?
Yeah, because I've gone back to, or as far back, so I have the Atari 2600, and then I've got everything else that's released after that, for the most part, except for the Sega CD.
Are you going beyond the further in the hiddens, like 3DO, Panasonic?
Not so much.
Jaguar, the Atari Jaguar, or what's that other one that came out? TurboGrafx 16. Are you going for any of those kind of things? Or are you just kind of going more of, we're kind of the more mainstream?
Kind of the more mainstream ones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into some gaming news. So, of course, this is getting close to E3 by the time y'all hear this episode. E3 is basically kind of like the holiday for gamers. E3 has always been quite interesting. I swear, I think when I was younger, E3, my hype for E3 was super high because I was like, I think it's because social media wasn't big yet.
Probably,
so it was more of you have to wait to the next issue of your magazine to find out, like, here's all this stuff that's getting announced. So you're like super excited and all this. But now that we're getting more into the mainstream, we're seeing all this stuff. It's still good, but it feels like that now these games are getting developed. We're kind of getting a select few of these games.
Yeah.
And sometimes it could be more misses than hits. Sometimes some good games kind of weevil under. I know one thing that stands out is a lot more indie games are getting more shine into the E3 realm instead of like,
which is actually kind of nice too, because you're used to seeing all these games from all the mainstream companies, but you're not seeing anything different. They're all similar,
right,
for the most part.
I also noticed too is through the history of gaming with E3, I swear there was more diverse in these games. Like Ubisoft would have, and EA would have several ideas they could throw out there. And now that we're at this point where, like, if this is a hit, we're gonna push the same product out every time. So now it's more of, for example, like EA, it would be, we got our sports games and maybe a couple of different ones. Ubisoft is more of like, you're gonna get your Assassin's Creed, you're gonna get maybe a Far Cry, maybe you're gonna get this, and then maybe something brand new.
Right.
So instead of like, brand new. So we're not gonna talk about every single one. We're just gonna talk about some games that you can't see my fingers doing quotations. Some of them some of them got announced recently as a leak per se, and then some did get announced. So one for sure that got announced early, and that's another thing too. I feel like people are the first ones who are trying to hurry up and get the main ones out. So we're getting a lot of news before E3.
True.
So they're trying to get the room buzzing before in the place, because I think some of these games don't get. They're not going to get a panel. They're not going to get a spot for showing. So they're just throwing those out early. Right. Division 2.
Yep.
Got announced a while back.
I heard about that.
And so, were you a big Division fan, or you were kind of like, I like it, but I wasn't like a huge fan as I thought I would be? I'm in that thing. I like Division. I think there was a couple missteps. I think that there was, I don't want to say any promises that are broken, but I think they show stuff and people took it maybe the wrong way or what they expect it to be.
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, when the first one came out, I was a big fan.
Okay.
And I'm not necessarily a fan of, first-person shooters or a lot of shooting games in general, but with Division, there was something about it for me that made it different than Call of Duty or Battlefield or, Destiny, Halo, whatever. And then, I do agree. There was a couple things about the game where I was like, I didn't really care for that, or I think they could have done it differently. And then, it did eventually kind of fall into that same category that Call of Duty and some of those other games fall into, where it just got, not necessarily died, it just got boring. There was nothing new. It was the same stuff. And then, there was the DLC pieces or extra parts of that, and then I stopped playing it.
Did you dip in the Division back in January when they had that huge overhaul for a second? Like, they kind of went back and revamped a bunch of stuff. Did you hear about that?
I did not, but I've had people or friends who have done it, and they said it was a much better than when it was released.
Okay.
Like, whatever the big changes were that they made to the game made the game a lot more enjoyable than when it first launched.
Okay. Have you seen the trailer for the Division 2 yet or at all?
No, actually, I haven't even had a chance to look at it.
Okay. It seems like in the trailer is, and I hope I'm wrong, it looks like we're going back to the same place back in New York, and I kind of wish that let's just go somewhere completely different. Let's stray away from the first one and just make it itself a brand new saga.
See, that's what I was kind of hoping too, because for a short period of time there, they alluded that perhaps it could happen in a different country altogether.
Okay.
From what I remember.
Okay.
A couple things I remember reading, they mentioned something about a different country, or it could have been still in the, based in the U.S., but maybe like in California or something like that. And I thought that was going to be really exciting because now we get to see, the game, but set in this entirely different, area. Because New York versus California a little bit different. I mean, still giant cities there, but it still would have been interesting to see, from maybe a different point of view, or maybe somebody else's point of view in a opposite side of the country, how they would have been affected by the whole virus.
I think there's three things about Division I hope they try to work on, and then my fourth one is more of a personal pleasure I would like for them to do.
Sure.
So like one of the things is, one, let's make sure we don't show things that make us believe what it is. For instance, they showed us how big New York is, and so I think they kind of made us believe that we can go into this huge world, New York, and it felt like we were just in a section of it.
Yeah.
So I think they need to be careful of how they would demonstrate that a little bit better. Second is, don't show us stuff in a cutscene that we can't do in the game. So if Division 2 showed one thing was they were protecting this person. They opened up this car. They shoved this guy in there, and the guy went behind the car door as a shield to do that. We never got that in the first one.
That's true.
And it disappointed me that, yes, I understand none of these cars are accessible.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we can't use them for something. All we did was we got behind a car and then he closes the door.
Yeah.
But it was more, how come we can't open it and use it as a shield? It's just little things like that. Like, let us use something like that. And then second, and my last one on that is, let's make the co-op feel a little bit more co-op to me. This is me maybe nitpicking. People can say, Jeremy, you're being too picky about this. Is let's not do this whole separation and cooperation thing. What I mean by that is, when you go back to your home base, let's make it a group effort instead of we just go our own path and we go through that door where we have to force the walk through, and then we're going in and then you're helping rebuilding the area by doing stuff. Let's make that a team base more.
Oh, okay, got it.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of like going back out and you magically appear. It's like, we're both working on the same thing. Just put us all in there. It already upsets me that we're not allowed to be in cutscenes. I don't know why they don't like putting us in cutscenes together as a group. They did that in Destiny. They did all this. They make it like it's all about you. But I have partners with me. Just put us in the cutscene.
Right.
It's just little things like that. Like, and I think those little things will help because it makes us feel like we're a team more than like you're just helping me out.
Right.
And so
because when in the game, when you go to the home base, if you will, and you go in and you walk through the door, even if you've got a four-man fire team, it's just you. And then you can see everybody's little dot running around the map, and that's great, but you don't get to see them.
Right. And I can understand if they still want to do like, this is still you. I'm fine with that. But let them come in and still buy weapons and stuff. At least I know they exist in my realm when I'm going in there. So like, even though like, hey, I know I'm the only one that can rebuild this, so you have to help me rebuild this. That's fine. Yeah. But let them come in and still get buy weapons, work on their armor and stuff and everything like that. And then, they can carry that over back to their game or something.
Or whatever. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. And then my last thing is, New York is great. But if you want to do a brand new environment, let's do Florida. Let's do like what a rundown like.
Oh, that would be cool.
A rundown like, what the beach would be, these palm trees and everything. Just show us like what a rundown of like a more of a tropical theme kind of style. Florida would be really cool, like a Miami. Yeah,
and the effects of what not only that, but then you can imagine, obviously Florida's next to the ocean, surrounded on three sides by the ocean. The effects that has on the ocean. Or
the weather control, how crazy that'd be! Just heavy rain.
I mean, they had kind of a little bit of weather control, but not like climate control like that necessarily. The heavy rain or
even
tornado,
right? Right. Even when it snows, we could just it should not snow in Miami, but for some reason, since this happened, something happened. That would be cool. Just a great change because I understand LA makes sense, but LA would probably feel like New York too. But if we wanted just a brand new environment, just like this is different, Florida would be.
Florida's screwed.
Right. Well, even like a theme park, like a broken down theme parks.
Oh, that'd be nice for a nice.
That would be awesome.
And and then with that, they could maybe even create a new resistance.
Yeah. That'd be
carnies.
That'd be amazing. Ubisoft, think about that.
A bunch of carnies wielding, rubber balloon animals or something.
But we heard that Cyberpunk 2077 is coming from the people that did The Witcher.
Yes.
I've been hyped for that since years back, and I know how Red does their stuff, so I say do it right.
I am excited for that. Because there was controversy over that a little bit, because a lot of people want another Witcher, for example.
I understand that too. And
they've said multiple times before in radio appearances and TVs, whatever, that Witcher 3 was supposed to be the end. But they've somewhat had a theory or a concept of maybe doing a fourth one, because there were so many people who loved Witcher 3 so much.
Right. And isn't it based on a book? So, don't they have to wait to see what the author does or something like that? Or was that just fresh out of their studios?
I'm not sure. I heard there was a book, but I don't know if it was
before the game?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have to look into that, but I believe it's one or the other. But yeah, I understand Witcher 4, but who knows, they're not working on it, but they want to put something else out.
Right.
They've been working on that Cyberpunk while they're still working on Witcher 3. I think it worked on the same time.
Well, and not only that, but at the same time they released the Witcher Gwent game.
Yes.
The digital version, anyways, because it's not physical. But
I think this will be a good change up. I think people want Witcher 4, but I think that if you like them for Witcher 4, I think the sci-fi will be right up your alley too, and that will hold you over. Because one thing about them is they put a lot of meat in their games, and this game can last a while. And before you know, Witcher 4 will come out I completely forgot about that game.
Well, not only that, but if you think about it, so Witcher 3 came out, what is it, a couple years ago now? And then Witcher 2 was on Xbox 360. Who knows how many years prior to that?
Right.
For all we know, they purposely did a thing where they only, put games out every so many years because of the complexity of their games and the details of their games. Like you said, they got a lot of meat in them. So maybe the reason why they're not doing one is because they still have, X amount of years before it's completely
right
the way they like it.
Right.
Because that was the one thing I really enjoyed about, about Witcher 3 with Red and everything was, with most games you got extra weapons, extra gear, that kind of thing, but you got to pay for it. They gave that stuff to you for free.
Right.
It was 16 or 18 pieces of DLC for weapons and gear and all this kind of stuff that you got without any hassle. Period, end of story.
And plus, it's not official. We don't even know if this game's still coming out this year or not. They're probably just finally showing us a glow of it, and it could be out next year or something like that. We don't know. So either way, I think this game's gonna blow us away. I hope it makes a panel. I hope it makes a panel. That'd be cool to see this on the screen.
When I originally heard about it, I was really excited because it's, I guess some people can kind of compare it to, what is that game? Deus Ex. Kind of similar concept, but not 100%, but it's still 100% different too.
I think probably the difference is you either going to be playing a character that you created.
Right.
That's what I'm guessing, because rumor has it might be first person. That was the rumor. That it might
yes, yeah, I remember that.
And so, or it could be a character like Deus Ex, but I think it's going to be more of a punkish, because the series is based on a book called Cyberpunk.
Right.
So you might need to read that book for listeners to kind of get an idea of what their main character might be kind of like. Other games coming out. So Walmart came out with some news, with some leaks, and people are saying that Bethesda put it out on purpose. Some people are saying it was accidental. We don't know yet, but Rage 2 got announced. Rage 2 was a game way back in 2011. The game that people loved, but they didn't forgive the ending. The ending was a bit of a cliffhanger. There it is. It felt like something that it didn't get finished off. So hopefully Rage 2 will pick up the slack for that. Just Cause. Were you a Rage fan, by the way? Did you ever play Rage?
I did not, but I remember it was an interest, but I don't think I actually ever got a chance to.
Okay. I'm pretty sure they'll probably do a collection or something for that, or a bundle with it. Just Cause 4, the people from Square Enix, from Team Avalanche, the people that did the Just Cause series, or 4. I can never get into Just Cause. I wanted to, I just never got the time to just get into it.
every time I see it, it's like, oh, it looks good, but that's about it.
Right,
It looks good. I don't have an interest in playing it either. That's one of those kind of games or series that I'm just like, it looks great. It looks like it could be fun, but that's about it. That's
right.
as far as like my interest gets. Even in any of the trailers and stuff like that, it just doesn't seem.
Gears of War 5 got announced, which I think is not a big deal. It's been about 2 years since the last entry, so it was about time for another Gears 5.
Yeah.
I'm a big Gears fan, but I don't have an Xbox One, and that's just my story on that. I guess like I haven't really took the step to get an Xbox One 5. I don't think Gears is not enough for me to cross over like that. So
okay. I've never been a fan, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Have you ever dipped in one, like any of the entries at all?
Nope.
Okay.
Not a single one.
Just not your cup of tea?
Yeah.
Okay. But overall, that should be exciting for people that are Gears of War fan. I mean, they have a studio that's dedicated of nothing but make it Gears 5. I think they're called like the Coalition or something like that. And so, Borderlands 3. If this is true, this is going to be pretty awesome. It's been a while since Borderlands 2, and that's a series that has just been phenomenal. It's a game that is like, it's a great shooter, but doesn't take itself seriously. Right. Out in the outbacks like Mad Max. And so, are you a Borderlands fan at all? I know you said you're not a first-person shooter, but was one of those games, exception?
I think it would be an exception when I get the chance to play it.
Okay.
Because I have it. Mm-hmm. I just haven't even had a chance to play it because I still have, a stack, like waist high of games that I still haven't played that I bought day one launch because of the really good, pre-order bonuses and that kind of thing. But they just have sat there because I have this thing about starting a game in the middle of another game. Because then I'll get stuck on the game I started and then forget where I was at or where I stopped on the game that I was playing.
Okay, I completely understand that. But what I really like about Borderlands 3 is, of course, the co-op is really fantastic. Right. I really like the craziest weapons they have in that game. I love the story that is written. I'm curious who is going to be the villain in this one because Handsome Jack from the second one was phenomenal. So I'm curious of what they're going to do there. Beyond Good and Evil 2 will make an appearance again. Hopefully, we'll get some more gameplay of it. I'm a big fan of the Good and Evil games, even though it's only a game of it.
Just one.
Right, and so I'm excited to see where the second ones go. And then Smash Brothers is one of the big ones coming out. Nintendo's now been working on. We take one game, that's our theme now.
Right.
We've seen it with Zelda, we've seen it with Mario Odyssey, Smash Bros. The next one in. Yeah. So they're dedicating in that.
Speaking of Smash, it was kind of funny, being on YouTube and doing videos and even on Twitch and stuff like that. Anytime I looked at a gaming channel, regardless of who it was, big time YouTuber, small time YouTuber, everybody had a reaction video to the announcement of Super Smash. Mm-hmm. And some people were so lit, like they were just going nuts.
Right. It's so funny. It's funny how hype it is, even though we all saw it coming. Like they would be dumb not to put Smash Brothers on the Switch.
Right, exactly.
But people knew the hype for it. But Nintendo did a good job teasing it. That was the best part about it.
And and that's the thing too. Like, Super Smash to me is one of those games we've seen it for the last several generations of consoles. Mm-hmm. Not much changes.
Right. Other than really
maybe a new character or maybe a different version of a character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I think the biggest hype is one thing is online.
Sure.
So this one is going to be the biggest hype, but also two is now we can battle you anywhere we want. I think that's where the cream of the crop is. It's right there.
Sure.
Is that I can take it on a go and I can challenge you. And just battle out instead of like coming home and then I have to challenge it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could be on the airport and I'm like, I want to challenge some people. I can be in my car.
That would be an interesting like commercial too. Like once once E3 happens and Super Smash is, they've given more details. I could see a commercial being a bunch of people, You know, kind of like the original Switch launch commercial where it showed somebody, oh, well, you know, they're at the airport waiting for their flight. You know, I can just see it being multiple different scenes. And, you know, at the airport, you've got like 2 or 3 people, and it's showing the online connectivity as far as being able to play Super Smash.
I think what was really cool will be how the link up would be like, say, you want to have people come over and you want to play one screen.
Sure.
Like, how would that work? Would there be a limit to that? How would that work? You know what I mean? And then, of course, in those tournaments, it's basically BYOS, bring your own Switch. Yep. So really now, you're not sharing anybody's Switch, so if you lose, you just suck.
Yeah. Well, you know, and not only that, but, you know, I'm not surprised that they're announcing Super Smash because, you know, obviously, if you're familiar with Nintendo, their online service starts this end of this year.
Of course.
Is a paid service.
$20 for a year.
Right. So I'm not surprised they announced Super Smash with online playability the same year that the Nintendo Switch Online is supposed to become active.
So
it's kind of like they're using that as their catalyst.
So let's make a boss from a boss to a mini boss. How many characters do you think they're going to announce? Surprisingly, not who they not so much of who they're going to be. How many characters do you think they're just going to announce in there? I'm going to go with 4. I think 4 is going to be announced. 4 new characters are going to be announced because we're going to be past 50 character selection, and there's going to be 4 to start out. I'm not saying there's not going to be future announcements, but 4 to start out because there's a lot of games that came out, and I think there's going to be a lot of entries coming into this.
That's true. I could see them only doing 2 initially.
Okay.
But, you know, if history repeats itself, you know, they've always, I think, with almost every iteration of the game or on any, you know, generation of console, they've usually announced at least 2 to 4 for sure.
The only reason I'd say 4 is because I think we're going to get 2 in-house characters.
Okay.
And 2 outside house characters. Just to blow it up.
Sure.
And I think and if I had to guess, just for the 2 in-house people will be one we already heard, Splatoon. That's 1 automatically going to be announced. 2 is going to be from someone from ARMS. I think those are going to be your 2 hits.
That would be interesting.
The 2 outsider ones is going to be Shovel Knight to me. I think Shovel Knight deserves a spot.
Okay.
A lot of people have been asking for it.
Yeah.
And then just to throw something out there, I think, and I doubt it'll happen, but I think maybe what's that character? You know what? I think Castlevania is going to come in there. I think.
Really? Castlevania?
Yeah, I know it's weird. I think maybe Castlevania might make an appearance there. I mean,
it would be interesting because they've not really introduced a character like from Castlevania before as a playable character.
I don't know why. I just have a feeling.
It's always the standard character, similar type of characters. You know, they've obviously got all the Nintendo's catalog of characters from various games or whatever, and then they have Sonic, and then they have Link, and all that. But Castlevania's not one they've ever touched. Right.
But the problem is, my guess might not come true because Konami's going through some things. So, so I don't think that might not happen. Now, people are guessing a character from Dark Souls might pop in there, which, okay, I guess. But
and that was a game I could never get into either. Was Dark Souls?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I tried to play it a little bit. It seemed really fun and really interesting. I just couldn't get into it. But I don't know if that would translate well though in a Smash game.
A character I recently played this game and I thought, I didn't think this character can do anything in Smash, but I think he deserved to be in the spot. Honestly, I think Earthworm Jim needs to be in there.
Oh my god, that would be great.
Earthworm Jim actually has a pretty good arsenal of stuff. I think he can actually really do it. Like, after playing the game again, I was like, Earthworm Jim would be a great contender in there.
Well, just his character overall kind of fits in, though. Like, he would be the character I would have expected a long time ago.
Right.
Not so many generations into Super Smash, and we're maybe just now gonna get him.
No, I totally agree. But Spyro can get in there. Actually,
Oh my
I take that back.
God.
I take that back.
I would love to see Spyro.
I take that back. I take
Super
it back.
Smash.
It's not going to be the Castlevania guy. I take back what I said for a boss. It's going to be Crash. I forgot about that. I think
yeah, Crash.
Crash is going to be that spot. It's going to be Crash and Shovel Knight. They're going to be in there.
Crash and Spyro would both be really good characters.
I think Spyro will come later. I think Spyro will come later. Only because one,
Or
they
even
haven't announced
maybe-
the Spyro the game yet for the Switch, and I think they're not going to do it until Spyro gets announced on the Switch, and then they put them in there.
Right.
And so,
I mean, there is the remake coming out though for PS4.
yes, but if they announce it on the Switch, I think it will happen because
Or
I think
even,
there were a couple of
the
Spyro
ne-
games on like Nintendo at one point.
Yes, they were on the Wii, I believe.
Okay.
It's been so long, I don't remember. Yeah, they were on the Wii.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, Spyro, Crash, or even Banjo.
Banjo people really want.
I would love.
People want Banjo on there.
I would love Banjo or Banjo and Kazooie in Super Smash. Because Banjo and Kazooie was my game.
As a lot of people's games. So, and Phil Spencer from Microsoft did say he would allow it.
There we go.
So
There we go. Come on.
So
They already have approval, basically.
But watch, it'll be a twist. We'll get ukulele. Moving on. Speaking of Nintendo, we got two more news, and then we're gonna take a break. Nintendo Virtual Console not happening on the Switch for listeners.
Boo.
Now, I think that might be just title only. There might still be a way for us to play old school games on this. Might be just a brand new formula how they do it. So I'm just crossing my fingers that maybe they'll come with a brand new idea how they want to do this.
That's possible, yes. But it's also kind of depressing, and I mentioned this earlier, that it was just depressing in general, but Nintendo has always been consistent of being backwards compatible with their entire, for the most part, their entire library. And now, with this announcement, it's like, to me, almost ends the company in a way. Not like obviously bankrupt or anything, but when, in my opinion anyways, when PlayStation stopped doing it and therefore Microsoft stopped doing it there for a while, the interest in their company or their consoles in general went down. Because you couldn't play your old games anymore because now you had to buy a whole new system to play all the new games. Or you had to keep your old system in order to play your old games. Now, granted, the Switch is still super new. It's not even 2 years old yet. Actually, it is 2 years.
The Switch?
Yeah. This month.
No, this is their 1 year anniversary.
Oh, yeah, 1 year was March. Sorry.
Yeah, this is their 1 year anniversary.
9th March.
Yeah.
Because even for me personally, when both PlayStation and Microsoft announced that at some point, I don't recall buying a game for like the at that point for almost 6 months.
But now, like, well, since I think after the Wii, they've been trying really hard to make everything digitalized.
Yeah.
So PlayStation they're doing a select few of their games you can buy.
Right,
and
on
then,
their PlayStation.
And then their PlayStation Now is something they're trying to do with their last generation of games, not so much of their history of games, which that's weird. PlayStation Now should just let us get through the PS2s and PS1s if they wanted to.
Yeah.
And then, Xbox is the only one, but only because Xbox doesn't have such a back history.
Right.
They're only 2 consoles back.
Yeah.
So their games are easy to get back up.
Yeah.
So good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. Switch though, yeah, I agree. But I'm crossing my fingers that there'll be a new way. Now they mentioned that, sign on their online, each month you get 2 games.
Right. For all we know, those 2 games could be from the back catalog.
So far we know they're a selection of old Nintendo games, but they didn't specify, one, do we get these games forever? Or they're just temporary for those months. We don't know.
Like, for example, with the PlayStation Now service, you pay, there is a monthly subscription offer, or you can rent the game individually, but you only get it, I think, for X amount of days, or X amount of hours.
Okay.
Even.
Right.
Now, obviously, you pay the cheaper price per game, so I say I wanted to, rent, if you will, Final Fantasy 2. But if I wanted the cheaper price, say $3, I would only get the game for 2 hours. Well, what's the point then?
Right.
I'm not going to play a game just for 2 hours. I want to play the game for the entire time. Say if I don't have a PS1 or a PS2
and what's worse is streaming. So like it's not, completely, the game's not going to run smoothly ever.
Right.
I'd rather just download the game.
Right.
Some of these we need to get soon. Hopefully we'll get into where we can just get a library of games and we pay subscription and we can just download any game we want to play as long as we just pay for the subscription.
Right.
I want to say like a Netflix, but not a Netflix because that's a huge library of games and that would take so long. So they need to find that middle ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't even care if they do like a switcheroo store where here's a section for these coming months. You can buy these games and all that, and then they go away, and we give you the next selection of games, something. So if you don't get them now, you have to wait till the next rotation, something.
Oh yeah.
And so, and then the last piece of news. This is actually interesting news because this is from straight out of Microsoft. Microsoft so far for Xbox One has been a little bit of a struggle because they've been trying so hard to find a place in their gaming. Their interface in their console is doing very well, but their exclusives and their delivery of games are not going as well as they thought they would. Not saying they're not making money. They're still making buku money. It's just more of they're not standing out as much as they stand out in their 360 era going into this one. So apparently Phil Spencer announced that he is trying to get Japanese publishers and developers on stage this E3. So this is going to be interesting because Microsoft and Japan have not been doing I don't want to say not doing very well. It's just they're not, something's there. It's not working out for them.
They're not meshing like they should.
Right, because if you think about it from the last year, from their last generation on the 360, you didn't really get a lot of Japanese developed games over there. You had, maybe Lost Odyssey. You had this one RPG with was music based, give or take, there was a lot few than more compared to PlayStation. So I'm curious of what they're going to do.
And personally though, I think it's hard for them because it does seem to me as if PlayStation kind of owns that in a way.
Own that market, or you think owns
the market?
Okay.
Because and this is coming from personal point of view, because for me, I end up being a PlayStation fan because of the fact that I can get a lot of my Japanese games or Japanese published games on PlayStation. When the wonderful Oklahoma tornado sirens are going off, it is Saturday noon.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm pretty sure it happened on our last episode too, but it's not too bad when I listen to it. But anyways,
it's just like because I guess I don't know if it's because it's Sony, and so that like Sony is like the company in Japan.
Right. Well, we know that it's Nintendo and Japan and PlayStation. They own that territory.
But it would be nice because maybe I actually might use my Xbox at this point to actually have maybe some Japanese published games that aren't just on the PlayStation, because I talked about I have a large catalog of games I haven't played on my PlayStation.
I feel like sometimes Microsoft is getting the reverse effect as Sega to America. Was more of, do we trust this console to sell the product of we want as exclusive? That's what they got to get. They need to get Japanese exclusive games back in there again. The fail of Scalebound really hurt them from Platinum Games. That was a big hit for them, but it just something bad happens and all this stuff. But when's the last time you played a exclusive only Japanese RPG on an Xbox?
It's
been a very long time. And so, or an action game from them. So it's curious of who they're going to reach out to. Are we going to get something exclusive them from Square Enix? Are we going to get something exclusive again from Platinum Games? Are we going to get something exclusive from Level 5? Like, some of those companies just go where they believe they trust. PlayStation just known to trust that. So that's something I can't wait to just see what he will pull out.
Sure.
And so let's take a break, and we come back, we'll get into our main topic. Hi, and thank you for listening to the podcast as part of the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other variety podcasts. Gaming podcast shows like the In-Game Boss, Gaming Halls of Rivalries, and of course, the Gamer Stand podcast. Other variety podcasts, we have Bond Never Dies, Come Meet, and Be Mindful of Jeremy Evans. And if you have any other questions, please email us at ingameoffice@gmail.com. And thank you so much. And welcome to the second half of the show. I'm your host, Jeremy Evans, along with Miss Cindy.
What?
And it's time to get to our main subject where we talk about something that it's, you know what, this happened in gaming most of my life. And, you know, I was part of that community. Now I sit back and I kind of rethink my way I look at stuff. But like when you get older, I mean, when you were young, getting older, you know, you're fans of different series of games that you play with. Either it was Mario, it was Zelda, it was, you know, Call of Duty, it was all this stuff. And, you know, you're such a fan of it that, you know, sometimes you have your own vision of you hope that they would do, or there are certain key things you wish they would fix or anything like that. But there is a couple of series on this list that we'll talk about that I think gets the biggest, you know, I don't want to say judge wrong, because, you know, some of these series, they do make mistakes, and we make sure they know they made those mistakes.
Oh yeah, we do.
And so, but the question is that like games like Call of Duty, Destiny, and Assassin's Creed, for example, and probably Battlefield, these are games that have a huge community, huge following, make a lot of money. And with that, I always get people that come out saying like, it's a good game, but they should fix these problems, or I hate this game so much, and why do they keep making them? And that's the question. Why do they keep making these games? Well, so why does people complain so much and even hate these games, yet they still dish out the money
to get a game they don't like?
And these games still keep going. So, Cindy, what do you think is the main reason for that?
You know, and so, that's kind of a hard question sometimes too, though. Mm-hmm. Personally,
because out of all of those, Assassin's Creed will probably be the game you are often know of very well. Yes. So, let's go ahead and aim at Assassin's Creed. Okay. It's now, you like Assassin's Creed. You like probably mostly every entry that came in.
Well, -1.
And okay, -1.
Yeah,
of course. I mean, there's always that rough one. I mean, there's a Zelda game in there on the list that I probably don't even like, or something like that. But basically, it's 90% of the time.
Exactly.
And so, and I'm pretty sure you have some complaints about it, but you still enjoy the game. You still play it, right?
Right.
So, what about the people that complain so much about it, but yet get them, and of course with the hate?
Mm-hmm.
What is your opinion on that?
Personally, like say with the last installment with Origins, you know, they took longer this time around for Origins, which the game ended up being better, although there were still the issues. And I think, you know, with most of those issues, it was just stuff that you're never going to be able to fix entirely, you know, before a game comes out. Mm-hmm. You can fix so many issues and so many glitches before a game comes out, but there's still going to be some when it does come out. But you know, a lot of, like, for me, a lot of people and some people in general say, well, it's the same game. Yeah, but they always change it up. It's always somewhere different every time. So while it's the same game mechanics as far as, you know, how you proceed through the game, to me, the only thing that kind of keeps me interested in it is that it's always somewhere different.
So you don't agree when people say it's the same game, just another different coat of paint?
Right.
Do you agree with that, or you disagree with that?
I would probably disagree with it and agree with it at the same time. Okay. Now, but, you know, because everybody is different on their games. You know, they like this type of game over this type of game. You know, while at the same time, yes, it is the same game, just different coat of paint, if you will. On the flip side of the question, it's a different coat of paint, but it's still the same game I've liked throughout the whole time frame. Okay. And I guess it's kind of hard to explain, you know, because with this, you know, like, obviously for me, my favorite one was Assassin's Creed 2 because it was set in Italy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's, you know, they've changed, and I'll take that back. They have changed some of the game mechanics. They've had changed some of the, you know, the way the battle system works, or, you know, they've added a different type of weapon that hasn't been used before. But at the same time, you know, every time a new one comes out, it's always somewhere different. So I feel like I'm taking a trip without having to spend a lot of money.
Okay. So So from a person's view of that actually dipped in all these example games that we're talking about and actually wander off of them. Right. So I can say that I actually play Call of Duty. I actually play Destiny. I actually play Assassin's Creed. And
I used to play Call of Duty too, and that was the thing. Like after Black Ops 1 and or 2, I stopped playing it. Because I didn't, like, I guess for me it came down to monetary value because I didn't feel the money that I paid for the game was worth what I got.
Okay.
You know, because there was, say, 10 hours of main story, and that was it. Give or take. You know, you could beat the game in theory in about 10 hours.
Okay.
The storyline. And then the rest of that was just all online.
Okay. I think that one of the biggest issues is for me with these is, yeah, sure, I have my complaints. Do I hate them? Hate is a strong word.
Yeah.
I think people use hate as a cover of dislike or just sick of them. Yeah. Okay. Hate, to me, like Call of Duty to Battlefield is, you know, I'm more of a Battlefield than Call of Duty, only because Call of Duty is just not my cup of tea anymore.
Sure.
I play Call of Duty, and you know, I stopped to think after Black Ops, which is one of the big hits, and Black Ops was fun and everything, but when you get one every single year, Call of Duty, I think it gets sick of it. No one misses it.
Yeah, it's like eating a ham sandwich every day for a month.
And then when you play a game every single year, it feels like it's not changing.
Yeah.
Because I think people are too busy trying to imagine what their ideal Call of Duty wants to be, and when it's a disappointment, they complain and even hate the series. I hate World War II because it feels like it's doing the same thing. But the question is, what were you looking for? In those games? And that's why I have to look at it for Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not going in the direction I want, so I jump ship.
Sure.
Destiny is not going in the direction I want. I jump ship.
Exactly.
Assassin's Creed is a series that is, to me, is a series that I think it could have ended a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
But it still wants to keep going, so I jump ship. And I don't like the vision that they are doing. Still to this day, I believe Assassin's Creed should all been all standalone stories, not this huge conspiracy. That's just my opinion on it. And so I jump ship. And I think that's what it is. I think that people don't hate. I think it's more of they're sick of it and they're not getting the vision they want. And that comes to, sometimes you might not know what you really want.
Yeah.
You say you want this, and then when it happens, it doesn't end up in your mind that you thought it would be. Or it could be a better improvement of what you vision. So that it is a tough question. It is a tough thing to look at something like that. Like,
because everybody's going to want something different, and then when they don't get what they want in something, and this, you know, comes down to human nature, not necessarily just in video games. Then they, you know, hate something, or they dislike something a lot, or they like, oh, I'm never going to play that again, or I'm never going to talk to you again, or whatever.
And I think it comes to, like, I have friends that complain about Destiny, about, like, you know, the DLC is terrible, you know, the multiplayer needs to be fixed a little bit better, but we keep playing it. And another key word of this, and this is a important word, is hope. People continue playing these games because they hope
that maybe the
they'll
next
get
time
fix
around.
the problems, and we keep investing money into this and hoping like this will be the one they'll get right. And you have to really, for a person that games those series, you really have to question yourself, like, where's my limit? Am I going to play this hope game every time, or what is the hope? You got to commit to, sometimes, like, if they don't fix the problems I want in this game, I'm jumping ship. And so I am probably some people, and most of the time in these series, you're most of the one that eyeball out while everybody's still playing it. And so, because you get those people that, you know, that's their game of choice for a very long time. You know, we get sometimes gamers that are very diverse, like you and I. We diverse in different categories. We'll play games that don't even make a lot of money. There's a lot of good series that don't make as much money as these name franchises. And it's sad to see sometimes. And then we hear that we're not going to bring it out over here. And it's sad. It's like, crap, you know, we're not getting those. Like, I think Metroid is a great series, but Metroid doesn't get a lot of money. And that's why we don't really get a lot of them. It sucks, but it's just how it is. And compared to these games that are easy up to play. That's the thing too.
Well, and I think some of that too is there's not a lot of hardcore gamers anymore either.
You don't think there's a lot more hardcore gamers out there?
No.
Okay.
Because just coming from a societal point of view, a lot of games that people play now are things that they can pick up and put down without having to put so much time into.
Okay.
Now, there are people like me and you maybe, and there's still probably a fair amount of hardcore gamers that were like, I'm going to play this game till my eyes fall out.
Okay.
But, and I guess it's kind of going with the younger generation.
So you're going against casual against hardcore. So you think that casual is the ones maybe making having these people make a lot of money is more in the casual than hardcore, or you think it's more hardcore than a casual? What do you think? I
think it's more casual than hardcore.
Okay.
Because I guess that's kind of how I look at Call of Duty. To me, that's a casual gamer's game.
Okay.
Because you can pick it up, play it for a little bit with your friends, put it down. You don't have to spend 6, 7, 8 hours or even 4 hours. I mean, you could play it for 4 hours, sure, but to me, after an hour, I'd be done with it. Because I'm going to want to play a game even for 2-3 hours. I can't imagine sitting there playing Call of Duty for 3 hours. That just makes my head hurt.
I think I think I'm agreeing with you at that point where Call of Duty and Destiny are easy games to pick up, because compared to Battlefield is not a game that's easy just to pick up and play. That's a game you really have to sit and learn the mechanics of it.
Right, because the curveballs, the game, the curve is different.
And so these are games that are just easier to pick up and play, and I think that's where your money making. And plus, there's no other game that competes right now to those games that is easy up to pick and play like them, or they're going to be considered clones to it. Now, Titanfall was kind of supposed to be like a Call of Duty-ish with robots.
Sure.
But that just didn't work out. It feels like it was just a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
And we're going to find that out now since they've been bought by EA, Respawn. We're going to see if that's true or not. Destiny, same thing, but there's no other sci-fi space game that's matching it. So that's why you have that series that is doing that. And Assassin's Creed is the same thing. And so, but when you have a game that keeps fleshing out more and more, and there's nothing in that category that's going to compete for it, it's going to do that. There is a lot of shooter games out there. There's not a lot of multiplayer shooters that people think there is.
Or even, what we called couch co-op back in the day. There's not a lot of that anymore.
No.
They're very few and far between. When I do work at GameStop, when I have a shift or whatever, what's the game me and my kids and my wife can play together? I'm like, nothing. Like, there's literally less than 5, probably. I mean, there might be 6 or so, sure, but, I can't recommend a game to them because most of the time it's going to be a fighting game like, Mortal Kombat or something. And, that does have blood and gore, and I can turn that, off, but they don't want their, I don't want my 7-year-old to play that game.
Do you think that, and this goes into number 2, is there more likes than dislikes for those franchises?
Ooh.
Do you think that so many complain, but maybe there's more people that actually like those games than people think they do?
I think there would be more likes than dislikes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, because while everybody's going to complain about the game and say they hate it, they wouldn't buy it anymore if they hated it as much as they said they did. So they obviously still enjoy and still like the game.
I think people that hate sometimes are just having a bad day with the game.
Yeah.
You had a bad round of games.
Yeah.
And you hate it for
just
now.
Like you have a bad day at work, or you have, that bad phone call or whatever.
And I think too, it has to do where your community and friends go. Like you either have to take a chance of, if I don't want to play Call of Duty anymore, then I can't play with my friends because that's the game they want to play.
Yeah.
And if you can handle that, then that's great. But sometimes people are like, man, everybody's playing it and I don't want to play another game alone and no one wants to come with me, I guess I'll just stay with this game with friends. Sometimes
Exactly.
I see that sometimes. And so it's a tough world out there, and I guess I'm one of the few people where I can just leave it.
Yeah.
I can leave it because, it's fun and all, but at the same time it's more of like I can dip into other options and try new things. Some people don't want to jump in those options, and so their library of choices is very small compared to mine. So I can jump that kind of stuff. So for the people, if you really hate the game so much, then maybe you need to figure out if there's another genre of games I can play and not go back to.
Right.
It. And you have to be willing to not get the next entry and hoping, no matter how enticing and how I don't know the word. I guess the word is more of how good it looks.
Yeah.
And so, and even like the new Call of Duty mentioned that there might not even be single player.
Yeah.
It might be multiplayer only. Are you fine with that? Are you just complaining you're still gonna get it? And so it's a tough decision out there. So what about you though? Is there a series that you hate or just not your cup of tea?
Oh, let's see.
Is there a series that you honestly really just hate? Like, I hate this series so much. I think there's a lot of dislikes for me. I can't really think off the top of my head, like, do I really, really hate this series? I hate it where I don't want this series to exist anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have very, very, very strong dislike for a lot of game series, but I wouldn't say hate because I not want them to exist.
Right.
Because, whether I dislike them or not, they brought something to the gaming community as far as maybe they had a different way of doing something or whatever, I wouldn't know maybe because I didn't play it, because I didn't want to play it, because I didn't want to go anywhere near it, but I don't think I would specifically say there was a game I just wish they would have never have made.
Okay. One game I forgot we talked about earlier, Division is a great example of a series that a lot of people complain, even hate, but people still play it. Yeah. And so that's another thing too. I think one of the big issues too is people complain a lot about games is the after effect. So the game is out. What else can you offer me? And a lot of people complain about the DLC side about stuff. And I think a lot of people complain that these games don't get a lot of meat that they want. But the question is, though, how much is enough to give you? Like, people want more than they think they should pay off. Like, I pay $20, but I want $60 worth of stuff. Right. Do you agree they should do that? Should they give you more than you think you should deserve, or you think it's hard? It's hard to decide. What do you think $20 will give you?
I don't think so, because if they give you so much, say they give you $60 worth of material that you only pay $20
season
for.
pass,
right? Yeah. Well, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then you're only gonna want more the next time around. Okay. And then therefore leads into I'm not going to play this game, or I'm never going to buy this game again because of they couldn't give me enough. Okay. But at the same time, sometimes I've paid for DLC or season pass or whatever, and I'm like, oh, that's all I'm getting for, $25? Mm-hmm. I wish I would have had more. Okay. But, I don't know what the company has planned for their DLC, what's going to be included. So for all I know, the next installment could be even more than I thought.
Okay. Well, they say for listeners, and we're getting ready to wrap up the show, is the theme that we always hear all in gaming is vote with your wallet. And that's one of the key things that people still use to this day. Please vote, pay for what you think is worth it to you. If you really hate the series, then show it. Yeah. Then show it. But if Call of Duty and Destiny and Assassin's Creed are still, for example, I'm not bashing these three. If these are a series that are still making money and they're still coming out, regardless, even though Destiny's on a contract, regardless of the situation is, if this is a series that keeps going, then you need to ask yourself, is it just you and a small community that really want this game to disappear? Or you're just complaining because it's just not your cup of tea. You really need to think about if it's a game you really hate, or it's just not your cup of tea, or you just got worn out about it. You know, games like these that come every single year you can get sick of them because you see them all the time. That's why we saw Assassin's Creed actually took a 2-year off and it came back and it's a little stronger than ever. And so, you know, maybe Call of Duty needs to do that. Maybe Call of Duty needs to take a break, but Call of Duty's making enough money that they can keep going because you guys want to keep giving them money no matter how much you complain, because sometimes you hope that they will do better. And it's okay to hope. Yeah. But you got to limit yourself of how many times can I hope for a game to get better. And the second thing is you have to try hard. And this is not just me, it's me and Cindy. We got to be careful of what we dream of what these next series will do. Mm-hmm. It's good to dream of they need to fix this stuff, but you need to be ready when it's not, and you have to be prepared of, I'm fine going into this regardless they did not fix the problems that I wish they would do. Yeah. And so, Cindy, any last words before we wrap up the show?
No, I mean, well, I guess we'll just kind of have to wait and see what E3 comes out with to kind of, you know, decide whether or not we're going to be disappointed this year.
Okay.
You know, because, you know, we still have, about a month before E3 happens, because I think that's, in mid-June. Mm-hmm. Okay. Maybe we'll get surprised by something.
Okay. All right. But I know Cindy here is, you know, she's still Assassin's Creed fan, so she is still going to go forward. She's going to keep going.
If I wasn't an Assassin's Creed fan, I got the wrong tattoo.
And so, and, you know, if you're still Call of Duty fans, you know, talk to your friends that hate Call of Duty. Ask them, like, dude, do you really hate Call of Duty? It's just not your cup of tea anymore. Because just because you hate a series doesn't mean it's a bad game. Right. Okay? We always have that. It's like the Zelda effect. Yeah. You know, all Zeldas are mainly good, but maybe there's one that's not your cup of tea. Yeah. You know, the same thing with Mario. Same thing with Ratchet and Clank. There's a lot of series. I love Assassin's Creed 2. Not a big fan of 3. Not a big fan of not a big fan of Unity. Well, you know, we're not getting into this. We're not going to get it. I'm just getting an example. Okay. So, but I would love to hear your input. What do you think? Do you think that, you know, maybe these series should go away, regardless of what people think? You know, does it wear out its welcome? Should certain series end? Do you think that you really hate these series? Really? Think about it. Let me know how you feel about that. And it's really simple. All you have to do is email me at ingameoffice@gmail.com, or you can comment on me on Twitter. I go by the name of RetroAmp07. And then if you have anything you want to say, Miss Cindy, Cindy's Twitter is...
What is my Twitter? I think... I mean, yeah, Twitter, that thing, what is it? Asian Gamer Girl. I mean... I constantly I'll get on Twitter almost every day because, you know, social media, and it can be just as
hit her up and ask her what your opinion is. We'll both post something on
there.
Oh
yeah, for sure, definitely. And I think I'm pretty sure I retweeted and liked everything anyways for the podcast. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm on there all the time. Hit me up, let me know what your thoughts are.
Don't forget to go to her Twitch page, Asian Gamer Girl on Twitch, and then mine is RetroAmp07. And, you know, visit our pages, subscribe, come talk to us. You know, we enjoy some company, enjoy us. We'll have our schedule out. I'm working on a new layout, so I will announce my schedule soon. Cindy is slowly getting back in. You know, she got to make that McDuck money, so she got to get that working out and everything like that. And
it's so hard these days, man.
It is hard. I mean, when you get older, the busier you get, the more responsibilities you get. It makes you wish now that you were a teen now. Yeah. Where you can do all this stuff. Exactly. And so, and also too, you know, get ready for E3. Regardless, I believe E3 is still fun because there's always going to be a couple games that you're excited about personally compared to other games.
That maybe they didn't leak or hint about. Right. Find out and you'll be like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that, but this is awesome.
Right, and I'm excited to see what Microsoft is going to do this year. Microsoft is the underdogs this year. I'm hoping they will pull something big, surprising that will blow them away.
Yeah, I think the top contender this year is going to be Nintendo.
They're on a stride right now. They're on a stride right now. Let's see how long they do well for this. And so, but with that, we will catch on our next episode. Hi, and thank you so much for taking time to listen to the show that is part of the In-Game Boss program. Remember, you can always visit us on Facebook and Twitter to get the up-to-date news about what shows are premiering and whatnot. And also, you can always listen to our shows on iTunes, Podbean, and YouTube. And remember to follow and subscribe. Leave a review and a 5-star rating to keep us going. And thank you so much.